Hello and welcome back, everyone, to Rocket Rabbit Commentaries run-through of Legacy of the Voided. Yeah. Hey, Artanis. Yeah, but in order to awaken them, we gotta deal with the fact that the Tal'Darim are fucking here. And not only are the Tal'Darim here, also, the Mobius Corps is here.
Wow. Like all of our worst enemies have formed a consortium of sorts.
Yeah, like the only force that Amon doesn't have here are his Zerg broods, and that's because they're still busy trying to control Ire and the rest of the Protoss outlying worlds.
Dramatically, they may be dealing with the Queen of Blades, who may not take kindly to having her forces divided on the subject of psychic manipulation. This is an example of the deactivation meter. You see, it starts off empty, but as it fills up, you are approving of the deactivation sequence. You gotta stop these douchebags from deactivating all these conduits.
Yeah, especially since we have to sit a sizable number of troops on those conduits in order to actually use them. Oh look, here's our new useless motherfucking unit, the Phoenix. Also, we now have access to air upgrades and air units in general, which is nice. Okay. As past Gerdat wants me to explain, the big reason why this mission so fucking sucks is because this mission is built around using Phoenixes, who have relatively long build times. We can't warp them in. They can only attack aerial units. Their spell only affects grounded units, and their spell also disables them while they're casting it. And despite the fact that they are very good at anti-air specialty fighters, they are otherwise totally fucking shit. They're extremely fragile. They're relatively expensive to build, and it requires at least 2 full starports in order to get a decent number of them out. Because we can't actually just warp them in. If we had warp harmonization, we'd be able to warp them in, but even then, I wouldn't want to fucking use them, because they're shit. Phoenixes are extremely good at exactly 2 things: army support and scouting. They're absolutely crap at fighting anything that isn't airborne because, again, they only can hit aerial units. And their army support stuff is very explicitly against grounded targets because the Graviton Beam, which is a really cool spell, only affects 1 or 2 units if you get the Ire faction bonus. And they have to be relatively light units. I think the biggest thing that the Phoenixes can actually pick up with Graviton Beam in the campaign are Marauders. And Marauders only hit ground units, so what the fuck?
Do we have the Dark Templars?
We do have Dark Templar available to us, but we got to build the Dark Shrine in order to build them, so we're not going to go that route. Instead, we're going to be saying fuck Phoenixes in the entirety, and we're going to be using the Annihilator that we unlocked during our after Brothers of Arms, the Nerazim the Nerazim faction retrain of the Immortals. The reason why is been rather explicitly because the Annihilator gets the ability Shadow Cannon. And Shadow Cannon, despite having a stupidly long fucking cooldown on it, also has the ability to hit both aerial and grounded targets for some really high damages. The problem that this mission comes with is that although you are pretty much required to use Phoenixes in order to get the bonus objective, Phoenixes themselves cannot capture the goddamn Celestial Locks. This is a huge motherfucking problem because that means you have to have ground forces in order to hold the locks. And our ground forces right now effectively are just Stalkers, Sentries, Dark Templar, and Centurions. These are, if you actually happen to have a decent amount of these, they actually are relatively good at defending grounded points, but they are not great at it. Like Stalkers need to be microed in order to be effective at all. Sentries need to be behind everything in order to provide support. Centurion need to be using their Dark Coil on specific targets in order for it to get maximum effectiveness, and Immortals need to be in the front lines, but they're not going to be attacking from behind you. They're going to be attacking from in front of you, so repositioning your units is always a fucking bitch. Also, the Annihilator looks really fucking cool. Notice how the cannons are slightly bigger and the shoulders are as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, a majority of the first half of this episode is just us building our first force to go take the first lock. Getting all the achievements in this one, specifically the mastery achievements, is a bitch because you have to get the first lock within 5 minutes and hold it the entire map, and then you have to collect all 5 locks within 15 minutes without losing any of them. If you manage to do this, which I do actually show us off doing some fucking how, then you get you get both of the achievements that are on the mission itself, as well as the mastery achievement that the anniversary mastery achievement that happened a couple years ago with the anniversary event that happened. That being said, this mission still fucking blows. There is no instance where this mission is ever easy. It is a really fast mission if you know what the fuck you're doing, but that does not make it easy or fun. This mission always stresses me the fuck out whenever I'm playing it, because look at this first wave. It's 5 zealots. It's 5 zealots and a stalker. Yeah, but I just spent the first 4 minutes trying to build up forces, and because I can't use my phoenixes, to engage the spot. Like there's no, there's very little I can, very little that I can actually produce without sacrificing my production schedule.
Our warrior's presence should allow us to lay claim to the lock.
Now, the first lock being 2 zealots and a stalker is not a big problem, but if you'll see, hey, they also get fucking void rays, a weapon that I won't get access to until after we're done at Ulnar. So yeah, you need some anti-air units, which is why they want to push you into using phoenixes. But again, phoenixes can't get the celestial locks on their own, and since they can't actually fight everything that is here, there's no real point in trying to focus on them.
The lock is now ours. These energy patterns indicate once we control the other 4.
Yes, Carrots, we get it. Do to the other 4 the same as we did to the first. We're learning.
Put the Annihilator in the front.
So diversify your forces, because
Shadow Cannon.
I observed that stalkers are going to be your best friend because they can attack anything.
Stalkers are good but fragile. Honestly, I would prefer. After this run specifically, I decided that I would always end up using the Nerezium Annihilator for this mission because, well, rather factually, Shadow Cannon is just that goddamn good against targets. It'll rip through pretty much anything that's even medium levels of tanky, and anything that's light, it'll one shot. It is really fucking nice, especially if you stockpile a bunch of Annihilators with Sentry support. That said, you might want to consider using one of the other forms of Sentry for this mission, because I believe since we did Forbidden Weapon and unlock the Sentry, we should have access to both the Ire Sentry as well as the Sentinel Sentry, which the Purifier Sentry. I forget what that one is though. It's not the Havoc, because that's the Tal'Darim Sentry. What is? Nope, I forget what the Purifier Sentry is called. We will see it a little bit later, though.
The current status, we have claimed the second lock. Now, any second now, these guys are going to try to take them back and show us all about that deactivation meter.
This mission is actually very scripted. It's not going to be in any second. It's going to be in a couple minutes. After you take the first lock, the enemy goes into stasis for a couple of minutes, and they start going after the lock that you took. Like, I believe it's 5 or 6 minutes after the first lock that you take. So what we're really hoping to do here is use our Spirit of Doom reinforcement abilities in order to just steroid our first force out as much as we can. Unfortunately, Annihilators and Sentries are relatively slow, so our forces end up getting slightly split up. It is not nice.
Now, I like getting missions done on the first try as much as the next guy. I think
this
one
mission
of the major
took me multiple attempts.
Yes.
Mostly because this shit fucking happened. My forces decided to take different paths to the location, which put one of my sentries in front, and now it's going to die to this stalker. It's not nice of this stalkers to get off the point.
Our pylon is under attack. The lock has been captured by our foes, Hierarch. We must be cautious.
Yes, quickly, to the south. I thought you said it was going to take a couple minutes
It did take a couple of minutes. It doesn't feel like it did take a couple of minutes, but does it?
So, we're at mid-game now.
We're almost at mid-game, to be perfectly honest.
Past Gerdat is expressing his feelings on the mid-game status. No, this is very much mid-game, because now we need to practice the missions. I mean, getting it done on the first try is a beautiful thing, but there's no shame in taking more than one attempt. Hell, it took me fucking 13 games before I finally got my fucking victory crown back, and you know what? It felt pretty goddamn good when I finally got it.
Yeah, and unfortunately my fucking video player is exploding, so... Yeah.
Alright,
what
so
time are we at on the video, Mr. Cloud?
Okay, I'm using the in-game timer, so I don't have to move my mouse. The in-game timer is at 9 minutes and 22 seconds.
Alright, so I'm only slightly behind. Okay, but that is a majority of what I want to complain about for this mission. And then we have the difficulty that comes in with, you know, also defending our base, because we still have to do that a little bit.
Just a little.
Just a little bit. You know, our annihilators are beefy enough to, you know, be able to take down these Reapers. But then you have to deal with for the bonus objective, you need to take down this Colossal Warp Prism. Yes, this fight specifically goes very well because we have a bunch of stalkers with us as well, and we're able to do Shadow Cannon on the Titanic Warp Prism, like this.
Big health bar goes bye-bye.
Very slowly, because the only thing that we have left here that can actually shoot up are stalkers. But it is important to get the Titanic Warp Prism down. Yay!
It is done. I am warping the vessel's cargo aboard for further study.
What I should be doing whilst I'm attempting to reinforce my big units is spawning in some sentries at home to repair the shields on my annihilators that are sitting there. Make sure to put annihilators in the front. Shadow Cannon one of the Banshees. To be perfectly honest, this particular recording went so much better than I was expecting it to. And yes, we did have that one stress explosion at the most northern point, but that's like the only one that we really had to worry about. Even reinforcing wasn't all that painful for this run.
Well, the points themselves are not terribly far away from each other, which means you likely will have units nearby that can regroup relatively quickly if they're just standing around waiting for orders.
Yeah, but they're not supposed to be just standing around waiting for orders, is the thing. Okay, there's that. Wait for
Capture the base.
No. Alright, so wait for a point is captured, and then we're going to spawn a reinforcement pylon here. Yes?
Well, I gotta say, in 70 episodes of StarCraft 2, I think this is the
Okay,
first
not yet.
capture the base mission we've had. I like capture the base. You get points per second depending on how many bases you have under your control.
Depending on what, Mr. Cloud?
What we have here is an increasingly simplified battlefield. However, our capacity's been maxed out. We're gonna need more pylons.
Yeah, mostly because they keep taking down the pylons that I warped in earlier.
We have outstripped our capacity by 0?
Yes, by 0.
I can't tell if that's a 6 or an 8.
It's a 6.
Okay.
Now, a lot of the difficulty for this mission is the fact that I admittedly aren't actually micromanaging my base at home all that well. But it is effectively the only thing that I'm not doing. Yes, I'm not spending my resources all that efficiently, but that's because I don't have enough production structures to spend my resources efficiently.
Well, you acknowledge that a defense of 0 can be overturned by an offense of 1. That's why we have a defense of 2.
We have more than 2 defense, to be perfectly honest, because we've got an annihilator there as well as our phoenixes that aren't doing anything. I'm glad that I got to show off us doing this mission without the phoenixes, because fuck phoenixes, they're terrible.
What Phoenixes? I've been seeing nothing but ground units so far.
My Phoenixes are still at home on patrol.
So just understanding that there's a time and place for everything. So
There
right
we go.
now,
Shadow Cannon.
we're doing just fine with our ants a marching on the ground. gotta put your
Unfortunately,
fingers in
once
the
again,
leaky
my
bag.
forces decided to form a particular fork on this point, which is not exactly how the Protoss units like working, but it was good enough to actually
Locks have
win.
been captured, Hierarch.
Ah,
Access
catharsis.
way is opening.
Catharsis. Yes. I thought you said we did this whole mission in one part.
We do this whole mission in one part. That is the end of Temple of Unification.
I don't get it. What was the point in having the Phoenixes? They didn't do anything.
Exactly.
I sense
I don't
Fuck
get- so-
Phoenixes.
So what? The mission. So the problem is the mission just arbitrarily requires us to build units that we don't even use.
No,
We're
the
just
mission
we're
is
just
built
satisfying a
around using
condition?
the Phoenixes, and Phoenixes are terrible. The Phoenixes can't
But we
collect
didn't
the
even
celestial
fucking
locks,
use them.
but a majority of our opposition is air units.
And in the next part,
We get to do better missions. Be safe, everybody. Templar of Doom.